So participatory futures is a subfield or subdiscipline of future studies, and it really is about how do we engage more people in thinking about the future. But it's also looking at different modes and models of engagement beyond the workshop, beyond scenarios. So traditionally, scenario planning is done by a small group of people focused on a particular topic, lending itself to create more insights for, let's say, a strategy or policy development process. Participatory futures can be normative, but can also be exploratory. It can be focused on games or simulations, it can use artifacts, and it's really about creating different spaces, but also bringing futures into everyday spaces where communities live, where they play, where they work, and so allowing futures to not be something that's done sort of separate and outside of everyday life, but to be integrated. And so that allows for a greater democratization of futures thinking, and it really creates a space to leverage more insights, but also to create a really dynamic space for communities to have conversations and engage on the critical questions and challenges that are facing them. But when I think about 2040 and the challenges, I think ultimately it's going to be about finding meaningful ways to connect with people in the variety of spaces where they will congregate. So clearly we're seeing more and more different types of communities emerge in digital spaces. Now we're hearing about new types of spaces for digital identity or various identities to be brought together in virtual environments. And so I think more than ever, it's going to require new forms of literacy for different institutions to be able to engage in those spaces in ways that are actually meaningful and can create trust. And I think that is actually more valuable as well when we think about the everyday space. So how is it that governments and institutions, a variety of different groups, can find ways to engage people directly in their communities so that people don't feel as if they have to go somewhere special or actually think about going into another space, that they can actually have those critical conversations where they live. And I think when we think about the future, that's going to be more essential, that actually meeting people where they're at and having ways to engage people in the different spaces that they're going to be living, working, and playing. What's really been exciting about seeing and actually doing research on participatory futures is finding that there's so much collaboration. So whether it's public-private partnership or bringing different groups together, there has been a lot of movement to try to say, cities and of course governments in particular need to be able to lead on this, but they also need to be in a role almost as if they are a bit of a maestro with a symphony, right? That they're able to bring together and to actually weave the types of groups and get them to actually coordinate and collaborate in ways that I think ultimately can have value for the city and of course for the communities. I think ultimately it's going to require a bit of breaking down of bureaucracy, getting away from the siloed model, finding new and better ways to forge collaborations, but also really requiring governments and cities to get out of their comfort zone. So how can they find ways of really stretching that level of comfort and really trying to think about new models of collaboration driven by new types of incentives for collaboration that can really lead to sustainable and dynamic conversations to leverage participatory futures on the critical challenges of the 21st century. And so I think this is really the critical question is, are the incentives going to be in place for collaboration? Can those collaboration models be sustainable? And ultimately, can cities position themselves to lead really those mixed stakeholder groups to have those engagements?